Rosie Wright on Times Radio.
Now, homeowners living in properties worth more than £2 million are going to pay thousands of pounds more in tax each year after the Chancellor unveiled plans for a new mansion tax. This new surcharge will be charged within 4 bands. The most expensive properties will be paying £7,500 per year. It's going to be introduced in 2028 after a mass re-evaluation of more than 100,000 properties to assess which are liable. Of course, which by then, thousands more homes may have hit that £2 million mark. Well, Paula Higgins is the CEO of the Homeowners Alliance. Paula, good morning.
Good morning.
You must at least initially have a bit of relief that you've got clarity after the chaos, because so many different housing proposals were put out there by the Treasury over the last couple of months.
Most definitely, and it really has had effect on the housing market. It's been very stagnant. It's been very slow. People have been waiting to see what's going to happen from the budget. So actually, the tax proposed and that being is not as bad as it was at first muted. So hopefully things will get moving again. But for people with, owning these homes above 2 million, they're going to be hit with a huge bill.
So tell us what you think the impact will be, because we're anticipating there could be some sort of bunching around the market. So lots of homes worth just under the £2 million mark, and potentially some sort of behavioural changes as people try to wriggle around this. What are you anticipating?
Most definitely. So the government estimates over 100,000 households will be hit by the mansion tax. And as you correctly pointed out, this will increase over the years, really. It's homeowners in London and the South East which will bear the brunt of the new property tax. Around 50% of all properties in England are in London, 85% in the South East. So it's going to be here where, people will be, when the valuations happen, they'll be fighting the valuations, there'll be appeals. They'll be desperate trying to keep themselves in the lower band, and it'll be tricky. So and then people, in terms of price points, is that there's a big incentive to price points at 1.9 million if you've got a house at 2 million to sell at that. But you've got to remember, it's not the price that people are willing to pay. It's actually the valuation office that will be doing the valuation. So it could cause sort of bunching at each of the sort of the thresholds. And we've got to remember that, governments are very good at keeping thresholds the same. So this is likely to eventually become a stealth tax, and more people will get into it if they don't change it. And of course, future governments may lower these thresholds. Will
some people be motivated to devalue their home?
Well, there's been some great stories about how to devalue your home and, sort of sticking in swimming pools and AstroTurf and whatnot. But I think what will happen is that people will be not incentivized to make improvements to their home, especially if they're, again, below one of the thresholds. So anyone planning a nice kitchen extension or to redo their home might not be willing to do that at the moment and just wait and see. And there could be very much people looking to sell up in the next year or so to avoid these the big sort of hefty annual surcharges.
Yeah, and then their home has become more expensive to buy because it's going to be more expensive to live in for whoever buys it next.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, the other thing is they've got to factor in stamp duty. So, if you sell a £2 million home and buy one for 1.5, your stamp duty bill will be over £90,000. So that's also something to factor into. So it's a very confusing picture for people who own these types of homes.
Yeah, I think so. I wonder how many people are going to be caught. This is one of the criticisms of this policy, and I think in partly why it's been put at the £2 million threshold rather than £1.5 million. How many people do you anticipate, Paula, will be caught who are asset rich, cash poor, can't actually pay the increased bills?
That's hard to say, really. So it's likely to be lots of pensioners. And we've got to remember that, people, especially in London, they might have family homes at that price. So it's not as if they've got a lot of disposable income. They've got a big mortgage. Generally Londoners have a much higher mortgage than others. The government will be consulting next year on a support scheme for those who may struggle. And they're also looking at people who can defer payments. So there's more to come on how this will work in practice early next year.
Talking about complicated things to come, what are you imagining from this re-evaluation process? Because it's so many homes that will have to go through this, and presumably there'll be an opportunity to appeal if you're unhappy with the price tag that's been, stamped on your home.
Yes, it sounds like the valuation office will be, taking the lead on it. They'll be looking at homes in council bands F, G and H. We've got to remember we haven't done a valuation since 1991. So there'll be lots of changes. Price price changes have been happened all over the country, and people will be very incentivized to appeal if they come just above a certain valuation. Because we've got to remember that it's actually a big jump, because between 2 and 2.5 million, the charge is 2,500 a year. But if you edge up into the 2.5 to 3.5 range, it's another £1,000 a year. So it's 3,500 a year. So that's a huge sum of money for people who might not have that money, extra disposable cash. You can't think of yourself as, even though you might have a big house, you've invested in your house, but that doesn't mean you might have a lot of cash to spare.
Yeah, well, I think some people listening to that will think, well, I don't have very much sympathy for you if you've ended up sitting on a house of that value. And there is exactly why the Chancellor is going on this, taxing those with the broadest shoulders, those living in the most expensive homes. One other change, Paula, is that there's going to be an increase in the tax paid by landlords. They face a 2 percentage point tax increase on their income. What do you think that is going to do potentially to, the cost of renting?
Well, landlords have been hit for quite a few years now. They're now just looking at the impact of the implementation of the Renters Reform Bill. This is just an extra charge. It will, they'll have to either pass it on to their renters, because it's business they're running, and we know landlords are leaving the market, and it's likely that more will do so.
If you are desperately saving, trying to get on the housing market, for those maybe for buying their first home, was there anything in the budget yesterday that would help?
There is, in fact, that it's in the small print, but they are looking at a new sort of ISA product. So there's something called the Lifetime ISA, which is open to first-time buyers. And again, it hasn't been changed in a long time, so it's only for houses up to £450,000. So that doesn't really help anyone in London. And there's this extraordinary sort of a penalty fee of 6.25 if you withdraw from it. So the government has said that they are looking to offer a simpler product in the new year that will replace the Lifetime ISA. So there is something there for first-time buyers that should be able to help. And the other thing is that we did think there was going to be inheritance tax changes in terms of limits to gifting and that sort of thing, and that didn't come through. So for Bank of Mum and Dad, which is one of the biggest lenders to first-time buyers, that shouldn't affect them at this moment either.
Okay, Paula, thank you so much. Paula Higgins, the CEO of the Homeowners Alliance, on the